Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to A Doctor's View, a show where we medically examine some of the best scenes of your favorite movie with the help of the best in the healthcare sector right here in London. Today I'm with Mary Oladele, a Senior Therapeutic Radiographer who specializes in proton beam therapy. This is the bleeding edge of radiotherapy worldwide, as there are only two of such in the entire UK and just a handful worldwide. And Mary and her team are at the helm of one of those. Today, we review Fault in Our Stars, and without further much ado, roll intro. Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. My name is Mary Oladele and I am a Senior Therapeutic Radiographer living in London.
Wow, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
And by the way, have you watched the movie, The Fault in Our Stars?
Unfortunately, I haven't actually, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's a very emotional one and there's a lot to talk about.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Let's watch the first clip. Wow, she seems to be having some surgical procedure right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is radiotherapy. I'm familiar with this.
Yeah, that's your field. That's your field. Huh? Wow, her hair is all being chopped off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Looks like him.
hold on to that. Okay. I think anybody would have a general idea that this seems to be related to cancer.
Yes.
Can you tell us what cancer is?
Okay, so every cell in our body has a lifespan basically, and cancer basically is when a cell outgrows that lifespan and it begins to grow abnormally and multiply and becomes life-threatening to that person.
Oh, okay. Can you give us some of what causes it actually?
Okay, so there are three main causes, as I like to say. So genetics. So if an individual, if their family member has had cancer, then there's what we will call a family history. So the best thing to do is to let their GP know, so their GP can pay a closer attention to them, and if they have any existing conditions or symptoms, their GP can quickly refer them for any medical investigations. And then the second thing would be lifestyle. So if an individual is consuming quite a lot of alcohol, obesity, and even also smoking, that can also influence and cause cancer. And lastly, we have environmental, so high exposure to asbestos and also to sunlight, which is also a form of radiation.
Can you briefly tell us what are the general signs and symptoms of cancer?
Okay, so for each body site it differs. So for a breast lady, they would normally notice a hard lump within their breast region or their armpit or around their neck region as well. For a man who has prostate cancer, he might notice that he's getting up more in the night to urinate. For someone within their head and neck region, they might notice that they're having difficulty swallowing. If it's within the chest region, they might notice that they've got some kind of wheezing, they've got a persistent cough that they can't seem to get rid of. And some patients also notice that they just have a dramatic weight loss, and when they're not even trying to lose weight at all.
Wow. From what you're saying, it seems it's very specific to its location, right?
Exactly.
But what's with the haircut? It seems almost all cancer patients have haircut. Is this a new hairstyle?
Okay, so unfortunately it's not. Chemotherapy works in a way whereby it's what we call systemic. So it affects both the healthy cells and the cancerous cells as well. So it would normally affect the hair cells, and whereby it then causes the hairs to the person's hair to begin to fall out. So most patients, they decide that before they get to that junction whereby their hair is falling out, they decide to cut their hair before they get to that level basically. Okay,
so let's go to clip 2.
Okay,
seems it's a sort of a meeting, right?
I
can see her doctors. talking to, there she is and her parents.
Yep.
Whatever they are talking about does not sound good. You can see from her mom's expression. Oh, sad. What do you see actually?
Okay, so I see a consultation. So at this stage, the consultant, as we call them, is either, or the oncologist, as we call them, is either breaking the news to the patient that they definitely have cancer after a few medical investigations, or they're telling them the effect of the treatments that they've had. The most important thing is to understand that when they are in these meetings, that the healthcare professional, the oncologist, is there and has their best interest at heart. The best thing is to ask as much question as they want. I normally advise patients to bring a friend or family member, because the shock of the news, they would tend to forget quite a lot of detail, and that family member can be there to kind of remind them. The family member can also ask questions that they would forget as well. And the importance of that meeting is just so that they can be able to also signpost them to other healthcare professionals to be able to give that patient the best treatment that they can have, and just to help them cope with the treatment that they are having as well. So it looks like they're having a consultation about her treatment or about her diagnosis.
I think, as you said earlier on, breaking the news is quite an emotional roller coaster, we should say.
It
so
is.
Does that mean what do you call it, all cancers are life-threatening? Is there any hope?
Okay, so yes, most cancers can be life-threatening, but the most important thing that we must remember with cancer is that early diagnosis increases the rates of survival. Increases the chances of survival. So therefore, patients are advised, when you notice any signs or symptom at all, please go to your GP as soon as possible. Because the reason why we do encourage this is because when we have detected the cancer earlier, there's a vast amount of options of treatment that the patient can have. They can even go on the clinical trials. But if the cancer has been detected quite late, it limits the amount of treatment that they can have. So we'll then begin to focus on pain management rather than improving the patient's quality of life.
So basically, the sooner it's been diagnosed, the better the prognosis.
Exactly.
And if it's any later, it's looking more like palliative. Wow.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's move on to our next clip. Okay, she seems to be in a supportive group.
Yeah, it looks like it,
Yeah, I think they need that for their emotions.
Yeah, just to support them so they can talk about how they're feeling throughout treatment as well, so they can ask questions and meet like-minded people as well. That's why they have a lot of supportive groups and just things they might not be able to tell their friends and family, so they find those those supportive groups as a solace whereby they can feel like they can ask questions that they can't ask in front of their friends and family members.
And in the clip we just saw her popping a lot of pills.
Yes.
And she also had an injection. I believe these are all forms of treatment.
Yes, that's right.
Can you enlighten us a bit?
Okay, so with cancer treatment, there are three main types of treatments. So a patient can have surgery, they can have chemotherapy, or they can have radiotherapy. So I'm gonna link it to the first clip that we saw.
Yeah.
So we saw in the first clip that she was having some kind of surgery, and basically what happens is after that surgery, she'll be given some time to heal, and a short while after that, she can then start a second phase of treatment, which could either be radiotherapy or chemotherapy, or she could even have both of them concurrently. So she can have what we call chemoradiation. So she can have chemotherapy in the morning and radiation in the afternoon.
Yeah, Mary, you keep on saying treatment. I've not heard you say cure. Is there a permanent cure for cancer?
Okay, so a permanent cure is quite a huge word. Every focus of every treatment is to get that patient into remission, and basically what that means is whereby most, if not all, about 99% of the cancer cells are killed, and then what we basically do is we basically help that patient improve their quality of life and prevent them from relapsing.
Wow. Are there any side effects to such treatments?
Yep. So for each treatment, they come with their various risks that the patients they're aware of when they sign the consent form. So for example, for radiotherapy, as she's having it to her head and neck region, she would have difficulty swallowing. She would have quite a lot of ulcers. She would be quite tired. She would notice that she won't be able to produce as much saliva as she normally would, and she would also notice that her skin's changing as well, so it would get darker and more sensitive. For chemotherapy, she would notice that she's more tired again. She would have hair loss. She might become anemic. There might be also weight loss because of not being able to eat or constantly just feeling tired and nauseous. She would also she might also get diarrhea as well. And so the side effects can vary, to be honest.
Yeah. And how long would she need to be on treatment?
Okay, for radiotherapy, within the head and neck region, we have different fractionations for different sites. So for her, because we're treating the head and neck region, we can be looking at 4 to 6 weeks of treatment.
Okay, wow, that's quite a lot for today.
It is, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we cannot let you go. We know you are the founder of Cancer Education UK, and you've been doing marvelous work within the shores of UK and even beyond. So before you go, do you have anything you want to teach us?
Okay, a quick one that we can quickly talk about is the HPV virus, which stands for the human papilloma virus.
Okay.
And it can be transmitted sexually. When the affected participant has it, they can be quite asymptomatic. Girls from the age of 12 to 13 are offered at year 8 during secondary school, and they're offered the vaccine. And what the vaccine does is the vaccine builds immunity against the virus. So the virus itself can cause cancer such as cervical cancer or head and neck cancer, like we've just rightly been discussing about. So just to ensure that they've had that, ladies, ensure that you've had your HPV vaccine.
Can you tell us about smear test, because I know it's closely related?
Yes, it is. So a smear test is basically a test that checks for abnormal cells in a lady's cervix. So ladies are invited to come and have their smear test. So if they are under 25, up to 6 months before their 25th birthday, they'll be sent an invitation via the post. From 25 to 49, they'll be invited every 3 years. From 50 to 64, every 5 years they'll be invited. And from the age of 65 and older, they would only be invited if one of their 3 smear tests was abnormal.
Thank you so much, Mary, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Updating us on NHS guidelines for HPV vaccination and smear testing.
Exactly.
Wow, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure having you. I know you're very busy. I'll really be happy if you guys will go follow her up on Instagram. I'll leave her details up on screen. Please, the link to her Instagram account will also be in the description for you to easily follow. And we'll have to let you go now.
Thank you once again for having me.
Thank you. And for everybody listening, I want you to quickly type out what are the signs and symptoms of cancer as discussed today. Leave it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so that we grow our channel. Okay people, once again, my name is Dr. Abe. It's been a pleasure being your host today, and catch you in the next episode.
Catch ya later.